Welcome to NorCal Tea Party Radio.
All across the nation, the party's just begun. Voices speaking loud and clear, there are battles to be won. Gathered here, reunite, join the revolution, 'cause we are strong and standing tall, upholding the Constitution. We the people say.
And now the host of We the People NorCal Tea Party Radio is Ginny Rapini. Jenny is the coordinator of the NorCal Tea Party.
Welcome once again to We the People. This is Ginny Rapini, the coordinator of NorCal Tea Party, and we're right here on KTKZ 1380 Radio. Welcome back to our show. Before we get started, I want to remind you of what we as a Tea Party stand for. We stand for three core values: fiscal responsibility, constitutionally limited government, and the free markets. That's it, in a nutshell. We don't get involved in any of the other things. First of all, if constitutionally limited government fell into place, everything else that is near and dear to us would also fall into place. So we also want to remind you that we are not a PAC, nor are we connected to any political party. The GOP, the DNC, the Libertarians, frankly, all of them have lost their way. We are conservatives trying to pull our country back to her founding principles. So that is who we are. Now, I want to also honor our sponsor for this month, my husband, Del Rapini, who is a developer, but he's also an activist in fighting for property rights, which is what we're going to be talking about today with our guest, Heather Gass, who is one of those wonderful people leading the charge to fight against Agenda 21 being fully implemented in the United States. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
Now, when I mention Agenda 21, I say those words to people at times. They look at me with this puzzled look on their face as though I just talked about Area 51. So can you give some clarity how this, get an understanding of how this was all drafted up and voted on the Earth Summit way back in 1992, I recall?
Yeah, absolutely. Agenda 21 is the agenda for the 21st century, and this is basically the name coined by the United Nations to describe the complete abolition of private property rights. They use fear of climate change and global warming to push all these different things through. But basically, it's been going on for a long time. But where it really was codified was at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. And at that time, about 178, 79 countries signed on to it. Bush Sr. signed on to this. So this is a bipartisan thing. This is not a left or right issue. So in 1992, Bush Sr. signed on. And Clinton then, in 1993, actually created the Presidential Council on Sustainable Development.
And sustainable development is the new buzzword, I understand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sustainable development is the code word that they use to describe what they're doing. It's the big blanket name that they use for everything. I mean, there's sustainable yogurt now and sustainable... It just sounds so great, but when you start looking at what is sustainable, and what they think isn't sustainable, it gets very scary.
So tell me, those of us who are opposed to Agenda 21, and the articles that I read are from both sides, and it mentions that we are part of the right-wing conspiracy to destroy something that's actually very good for our planet. What do you say about that?
Well, first of all, it's not a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy. It's just not
theirs
a theory.
Is a conspiracy.
It's definitely a conspiracy. It's just not a theory. It's a fact. I mean, all of the information is there. All you have to do is Google it and start, doing your own research. So don't take my word for it. I mean, I've done hours and hours upon, hundreds of hours of research on this. But it is not a left and right issue. So there are Democrats that are fighting against this. I'm working with people who are part of this Sierra Club who say they're realizing that it's not about the environment. I mean, see, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We are being told that to save the planet, we must all give up our single-family homes. We must all give up our cars. We must all live in high-density stack-and-pack style housing, in human settlements. And the animals should roam free, and that's all better for the environment. When none of the developers are going to have to do any GHG calculations, that's greenhouse gas calculations. There's absolutely no proof that giving up your private property rights and your civil liberties and moving out of a suburban area and into basically an urbanized, high-density, compact living is going to be better, unless they plan on getting rid of our cars. Oops, I gave it away.
Shame on you. And that's why they want the high-speed rail and bus stops at every little local corner. I want to ask you a question on these stack housings and different communities that we're talking about. I heard this, and I have not been able to verify this as fact yet, so I'm trusting you. I understood that there's already a place over in the Bay Area that is trying this community type of thing.
I'm sorry, what?
That's doing this community living type of thing, the stack housing, and that there is an area where they have a vegetable garden, and that what they want to eventually do is to put these little vegetable gardens in each one of these little sustainable communities, and people would go there to get their vegetables by caloric intake. Now, like I say, I have found nothing to verify this, so I want to know, do you know anything about that?
I don't know of a specific area that's doing that, but I would not put it past the fact, if I had to guess, it'd be happening in Oakland or Berkeley already.
Yeah.
Just a wild...
Just a wild guess that Berkeley's doing it, right?
Just a wild guess, but you know what? That is the plan. All of this sounds really good. Who doesn't want clean air? Who doesn't want clean water? Who doesn't want to buy local produce? But the point is that they're going to they're going to move us. The plan is to create human settlements. High density in 2050 and beyond, we are no longer going to be able to build single-family residential neighborhoods. That's just out of the question. Everybody is going to be moved into human settlements, into designated districts and areas, regions, and just outside of those regions will be the farming area that will be the production of our food for the actual human settlements. So there's going to be a maximum carrying capacity for these human settlements. It's all very Orwellian. There's not going to be any choice.
Right.
So...
You know what it reminds me of in conjunction then, in Sacramento here, we're talking about a water shortage this summer. And on the news one night, a few weeks ago, they were saying that they will be rationing water this summer. And that if your neighbor waters their lawn on a day that they are not supposed to, you are supposed to report them. Now, what does that sound like?
Well, it sounds like, they're enlisting people to spy on each other. That's like the clean air days, right? You can't burn logs in your fire on certain spare the air days. And literally, if you burn a log in your fireplace, people will call and tattletale on you.
Right.
And this is all really designing a society where the people are going to now police each other and spy on each other and tell on each other. It's
what happened in World War II and what happened in Russia during the Cold War. Isn't that what they were doing?
Exactly.
And that is scary. Now, you've touched on this already, but I want you to go into greater depth about how Agenda 21 is a threat to private property and our own sovereignty.
Well, the agenda for the 21st century, the United Nations agenda, calls for the complete abolition of private property rights. So, they think that having property, is unsustainable.
It's liberating, is what it is.
Exactly.
And they don't want that.
It's unjust. It's
Yes.
unjust, and they need to redistribute the wealth, and they need to have government control of that. And the property should be owned and controlled by the government and the UN. And as far as our sovereignty goes, we're giving it away. Our government officials are giving it away through executive orders, through the Environmental Protection Agency. All of this is coming down we may not have the UN in our backyard saying, here's what you're going to do, but a lot of these mandates that are coming through, executive orders, et cetera, are right from the United Nations. They're following the exact plans.
And since when have we stooped so low as to give authority to the United Nations in this country to have any say about anything that we say or do? I say we make condos out of the UN building. I
agree. I mean, they're just, we are funding our own demise. I mean, our country has one vote. We are a huge country, very prosperous, and we have a lot of, but we have one vote. We have an equal vote to very small countries. And the thing is that we're being ganged up upon because these other countries are only too happy to see a leveling of the playing field and the redistribution of our wealth to their countries and our infrastructure to their countries. And that's what they're voting for.
We're also redistributing our national defense.
We're redistributing everything.
Now, Heather, do you see this being able to be turned around and changed?
Only if the people become aware of this. And that's the thing is, a year ago people were saying, just please don't talk about this. It's a conspiracy or whatever, but, we have to talk about it. We have to educate ourselves. I mean, the more people know, the more they question, the more this is exposed. It's there for you to figure it out. But unless people start getting involved and going to supervisor meetings or city council meetings and asking questions and finding out what's going on, it will be too late. So I think we have a chance. We definitely do.
Okay, so the key to all of this, obviously, is getting involved at the local level and becoming informed. At the end of this, I'm going to ask you for an action plan, but for right now, I want to go back to our property rights. And how soon do you think that it would be impacting us to not be able to own our own property anymore? I know my husband's a developer, and I know how difficult it is to even get a building permit for anything anymore. Do you see that coming very quickly?
Well, I'm a realtor, so, I'm seeing it everywhere right now. I don't know why more realtors aren't panicked and up in arms about this. I don't think that they really know, but I'm looking at land use plans. I'm looking at general plans for cities, and we're now having our control of our land use being dictated by regional unelected bureaucrats. In our area, it's the Metropolitan Planning Organization is called ABAG, I believe.
ABAG, what a great name!
I know, the Association of Bay Area Governments, and it's not even an elected body. I mean, there are elected officials on it, but they're appointed to this body, and they make the plan of how all of the land in 9 Bay Area counties is going to be used. So, and then that regional plan is going to get laid over the local plans of the local jurisdictions. And if they don't buy into this local land use policy and planning done by the regional body, they won't get their transportation dollars to fix their roads.
Oh, boy.
Exactly. And so
we're up against the break, Heather, but we will hold that thought, and we will get right back to you. You're listening to We the People Radio, NorCal Tea Party, right here on KTKZ 1380. We'll be right back.